my son said. Stop trying to be my dad. You're just the guy who pays for things. I replied. Understood. Then I liquidated his college fund to pay off my mortgage and put his prized Mustang up for sale. He had to get a job the next day. My son looked me dead in the eye and said, Stop pretending to be my dad. You're just the guy who writes the checks. I didn't argue. I just nodded and said, Got it. The next day, I cashed out his college savings and started the paperwork to pay off my mortgage. Then I listed his beloved Mustang for sale. That same week, he had to find himself a job. I'm a 45-year-old man, and I've never really been the type to put my personal business on the internet. I keep things close to the chest. But what happened recently hit me hard enough that I needed to put it into words. If for no one else, then just to convince myself I'm not going crazy. I married my wife, Laura. She's 43 now, about 10 years back. She already had a son, Tyler, who's 17 today, from a previous relationship. His biological dad disappeared when Tyler was still in diapers. No birthday cards, no phone calls, no financial support. Just gone. I stepped into the father role when Tyler was 7. Since then, I've paid for everything: private school, braces, summer camps, family vacations, all of it. I was the one who taught him how to ride a bike and later how to handle a car. For his 16th birthday, I surprised him with his dream ride, a 1968 Ford Mustang. It wasn't fresh off the lot, but it was a beauty. I spent close to a year and roughly $20,000 restoring it in our garage. I thought it was something special we were doing together. At least, that's what I believed. Now, about the college fund, that wasn't some kind of family inheritance or trust. It was a brokerage account I opened right after Laura and I tied the knot. My name only. Every paycheck, I quietly tucked away a few $100. Did that for 10 straight years. My money. My labor. The balance recently crossed the $85,000 mark. The whole idea was to give Tyler a shot at a good university out of state, let him graduate without debt and start life on solid ground. But this past year? Things took a turn. Tyler started pulling away. He got moodier, more withdrawn. I chalked it up to typical teen behavior, but there was this edge to it, a kind of smug indifference. I overheard him talking to his friends like he had earned the Mustang himself. Like it was something he deserved just by existing. Same with college, it was like he thought the future was owed to him. Then last Thursday happened. His report card came in, and it was a mess. 2 failing grades, not because he was struggling, but because he couldn't be bothered to show up or turn in assignments. I walked into his room to talk about it. Tyler, we need to go over these grades. This won't cut it if you're serious about those universities you've been talking about. He didn't even lift his head from his phone. Whatever. It'll work itself out. No, it won't, I told him. Your teachers are saying you're skipping classes. What's going on? He finally looked at me, and the look in his eyes was something I'll never forget. Pure contempt. Why do you even care? You're not my real dad. That hit hard. I'd heard versions of that before, but this time it felt sharper. I could feel my pulse rising, the old instinct to lecture kicking in, but I swallowed it down. I care because I love you, I said. And I want you to have a future you can be proud of. And then he hit me with the words that changed everything. He stood up, looming over me, even though he's still technically just a kid. No, you don't. You just love being the hero. Let's be real. Stop acting like you're my dad. You're just the guy who pays the bills. I looked at him, really looked, and it was like seeing a stranger in my own house. The anger disappeared. What came next was cold clarity. There wasn't even a flicker of hesitation in him. No sarcasm. No joke. Just straight-up rejection. 10 years of love, guidance, effort, reduced to money changing hands. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I just gave a nod. Okay, I said, and walked out of his room. Friday morning, I worked from home. At 9:05 a.m., I called my financial advisor and told him to liquidate the entire college fund. He let me know it'd take a few business days for the money to be ready. No problem. At 10:30, I contacted the bank to get a mortgage payoff statement. I owed $76,450. The numbers lined up almost perfectly. During lunch, I took high-res photos of the Mustang. I'd made sure to put the title and my name back when we got it, mostly for insurance purposes, even though Laura had given me flack for that. I wrote up a detailed listing, explaining the restoration work and all the care I put in, and posted it across multiple classic car forums and marketplaces for $25,000. Fair market value. Neither Laura nor Tyler knows anything yet. They probably just think I'm giving Tyler the cold shoulder. But this isn't about anger, I'm not upset. I'm not looking to punish anyone. I'm simply shutting down the ATM. That's what he wanted, right? Just the guy who pays for things. Fine by me. I've paid more than enough. I'm done. Update 1. Thanks to everyone who's chimed in with support, and with warnings. You were right. I've been riding out a hurricane of denial and entitlement for the past couple of weeks. Everything came to a head that first Saturday. Tyler strolled into the living room, twirling the car keys in his hand. Hey, I'm taking the car. I need some gas money, he said without even glancing at me. Yeah, that's not gonna happen, I told him, calm as ever. Why not? Because it's for sale. I already have someone lined up to come look at it. Silence hit the room like a dropped brick. Laura looked up from her laptop. Tyler just froze. What? He finally managed. It's my car, Tyler, I said. And I'm selling it. Laura got up, eyes wide. Mike, what the hell? You're selling his car to get back at him? It's not his car, I replied. And this isn't about revenge. It's a financial decision. I went on to explain that the college fund was being liquidated and that I planned to use it to pay off the house. That's when the shouting started, mostly from Laura. She accused me of being heartless. Said Tyler was still a kid, and kids say stupid things they don't mean. Tyler started flipping between rage and desperation. But it's my car. You gave it to me. What am I supposed to tell my friends? You could tell them the truth, I said. That the guy who paid for it decided to sell it. He stormed out of the room. Laura wasn't far behind, shouting that I was using money like a weapon. This is our son, Mike. You're supposed to love him unconditionally. I did, I told her. And saying it felt like chewing on gravel. But love isn't a one-way street. Right now, this feels like a toll road, and I'm the only one paying. That first week, they both thought I was bluffing. Tyler acted like he didn't care. Laura gave me the cold shoulder, thinking I'd break and apologize. But I didn't. As I dealt with the car sale, it made things real. I kept getting lowball offers and time wasters, and I made a point of mentioning them out loud. Just got an offer for $15,000, I'd say. Turned it down. Let me know when you're ready to send the next part. I'll keep the same style going throughout. One guy offered to trade the Mustang for a jet ski. Seriously. I just laughed and passed. Then came Tom, someone who seemed like a real buyer. He wanted a full inspection by a third-party mechanic, and I agreed. It took a couple days to coordinate, but we got it done. Tyler stood by the window, watching the guy inspect every inch of the car, clipboard in hand. And for the first time, I didn't see anger on his face. I saw fear. After the inspection came back clean, Tom made a solid offer, $23,500. He just needed a few days to get the money in order. We both signed a purchase agreement. It was all very professional. Very final. That night, I found Laura in the kitchen, crying quietly. She switched tactics. Mike, she said gently. I understand. You're hurt. You've made your point. But it's not too late. Call him back. We can fix this. Tyler will apologize. Just please tell me you're not really going through with this. I kept my tone calm. The agreement's already signed, Laura. The money from the investment account cleared yesterday, and the wire to the mortgage company is scheduled for tomorrow. I wasn't trying to be cruel. I was just being honest. But I've noticed that when people don't like the truth, they start calling it cruelty. Later, I found myself staring at an old photo. Tyler and me out on a lake during a fishing trip, back when he was maybe 10. That picture hit me like a punch to the gut. For a second, I doubted myself. I wondered, am I doing the right thing? Then I remembered the look in his eyes when he said it, the disdain in his voice. You're just the guy who pays for things. That memory put steel back in my spine. He wanted to reduce everything between us to a financial transaction. Fine. I was just finalizing it. Update 2. The last month has felt like watching a slow-motion collapse. First came the emotional manipulation, please, guilt trips, teary stares. When that didn't work, the dirty tactics kicked in. The Mustang officially left the driveway 4 weeks ago. Tom showed up, shook my hand like a gentleman, handed over the check. I gave him the title and keys. When I heard that engine roar to life one last time and then fade into the distance, it felt like closing a long chapter. Since then, Tyler's been riding the bus to school. Not exactly Instagram-worthy transportation. A few days after that, the confirmation letter I'd been waiting for landed in the mailbox. Mortgage paid in full. I left the envelope on the kitchen counter. Laura saw it. She didn't say a single word to me for 3 days. Then she got desperate. Last week, my boss gave me a call. He sounded uneasy. Hey, Mike. Everything okay at home? I got a call from Laura. I felt my stomach tighten. Not out of surprise, I'd been waiting for this. She told me you've been acting erratically. He continued. That you emptied out a savings account and are making rash decisions. She says she's worried about your mental state. I saw red. Not the cold, detached kind. The burning kind. To go after my job? To try and mess with the very income stream she and her son had benefited from for years? That was a betrayal I hadn't seen coming, not from her. That night I didn't talk. I went straight to the gym and beat the hell out of a heavy bag for an hour just to keep from punching drywall. Thankfully, I'd already had a quiet conversation with my boss a few weeks earlier. Sat him down over coffee and gave him a heads up. Hey, just so you know, I'm dealing with some mess at home with my stepson. It won't affect my work, but things might get weird. So when I spoke to him now, I stayed calm. She's upset because I used my own money to pay off my mortgage. I told him. Instead of handing over everything to a 17-year-old who sees me as nothing but a walking bank account. He let out a long sigh. Yeah, he said. That checks out. Don't worry about it. Meanwhile, Tyler was getting his own reality check. The phone bill came in. I texted him a screenshot of the $95 he owed. He replied exactly how I expected. WTF. You've always paid for it. I texted back, short and simple. My role's been clarified. I'm no longer the guy who pays for things. Suddenly he was scrambling for cash. At first he aimed high, cool jobs at coffee shops, bookstores. Nobody called him back. Hard to impress anyone when your resume is a blank page and your attitude is worse. Bit by bit, his arrogance started to drain away, replaced by that familiar teenage panic. Eventually, and clearly out of options, he applied at fast food joints and big box retailers. Last week, he walked through the door wearing the most hideous polyester uniform I've ever seen. Yellow and brown, with a visor to match. Smelled like deep fryer grease. He doesn't talk to me. Won't even make eye contact. Laura and I are like ghosts haunting the same space. We barely speak. Her parents, Frank and Diane, have been blowing up my phone with dramatic texts, telling me I'm ruining Tyler's future. I muted the thread. Let them talk. This isn't about revenge. It's cause and effect. They set the terms. I'm just making sure the terms are honored. Final update. Things didn't end the way they do in the movies. No big reconciliation. No dramatic hugs. Just silence. The dust settled in the way it usually does in real life, quietly. We swept up the broken pieces, and what was left was a clean, empty room. Laura and I are officially divorced now. We split up 5 months ago, and the paperwork came through last month. We tried marriage counseling, but it was a disaster. It all circled back to the same wall we couldn't get over. She saw my actions as a bitter, over-the-top reaction. I saw them as the only logical outcome of what her son made clear he thought of me. But the real turning point came when the lawyers got involved. Laura walked into her attorney's office convinced, largely thanks to her father, that she could financially wreck me. Thought she'd leave with half of a fully paid-off house. She walked out looking like she'd seen a ghost. My lawyer was straightforward from the start. Paying off the mortgage was separate. Non-marital funds didn't mean the house became mine. That was just wishful thinking. But the law did allow for reimbursement. Because that $76,450 came out of a sole account in my name, I had every right to get that amount back from the sale before we split the rest. So when the house finally sold, the first check written was to me, $76,450, right off the top. The remaining equity was split evenly. For Laura, that was financial devastation. She'd been counting on half of a fully paid-off property. Instead, she walked away with maybe a quarter of what she expected. It wasn't the grand, dramatic victory I once hoped for. But it was clean. It was fair. And it was final. I managed to protect my assets. Once Laura realized she couldn't legally compel me to keep funding the lifestyle she and Tyler had grown used to, any remaining illusion of fixing us just evaporated. She packed her things and moved back in with her parents. As for Tyler, the fallout wasn't some dramatic moment. It was slow. It was steady. It was the harsh grind of real life without my financial safety net under him. His job at the chicken joint lasted 2 months. He got fired for mouthing off too much. After that, he picked up overnight shifts stocking shelves at a big box store. That one lasted 6 weeks before he quit, said it was too much. Now he's 18, fresh out of high school with a GPA that wouldn't get him through the front door of a community college. He's holed up in his grandparents' spare room, no job, no plan, no momentum. In other words, he's stuck. Going nowhere. A few weeks back, I ran into them, Laura and Tyler, at the grocery store. I was in the checkout line when I spotted them in one of the aisles. Tyler looked rough. Pale. Lean. Worn out and bitter. He saw me, locked eyes for a second, then turned away with this cold, simmering glare. No words. No apology. No acknowledgement that maybe, just maybe, I had a point. In his eyes, I'm the villain. The one who torched the world he knew. And I've accepted that. You can't drag someone into clarity. You can't make them see a truth they're determined to ignore. As for me? Those first few months on my own were rough. I moved into a smaller townhouse, and the silence hit like a punch in the chest. The quiet wasn't peaceful, it was loud. Too loud. It felt heavy, like I was walking through water. I grieved the family I thought I had. Went through old photos and felt something crack in me. The pain wasn't clean, it didn't come and go. It sat with me. Like a severed limb still aching. It wasn't a breakup. It was an amputation. But slowly it started to ease. These days, I'd shifted my focus back to myself. With the money I used to spend on other people's wants and needs, I doubled down on my retirement savings. I took the $23,500 from the Mustang sale and splurged on a mountain bike, an obnoxiously nice one, the kind I never would have justified before. I've been hitting the trails on weekends. Fresh air, silence, movement, it helps. And last week, I adopted a dog. Some scruffy, weird-looking mutt from a shelter. His name's Buddy. Buddy doesn't care about who paid for what or what someone said 5 years ago. He just wants me to throw the ball and be near him. That's enough. I lost a wife. I lost a son. But I found something else, my dignity, my peace, and a future I get to build on my own terms. Was it a steep price? Absolutely. But it was a price I had to pay. That account is closed now. I'm no longer in service.